Hello everyone, me with Prakash Chaudhary and I welcome you to Microeconomic Analysis of Samsung. We are Tejas Parmar, Tanay Anand, Tushar Kumar, Uday Bhanu and Monica Saini. So moving ahead in the presentation, first of all let me give you the company overview. The company was founded in 1969 and the initial products that company produced was black and white TVs, refrigerators, washing machines, etc. In 1970 it entered to semiconductor market and it was very advantageous for the companies. Moving ahead in 1990s company became the digital electronic brand, and if we see today company is having more than 2 lakh employees and it generates revenue of more than $200 billion. Next, we are having industry analysis. So basically, company believes in the short product life cycle, where it innovate the product within 2 to 3 year cycles, and it basically produces a high fixed cost, low marginal cost products. Basically, the product which it produces generally reaches to the public with low income. So it have to produce the product with the very low costs, and also Samsung have a huge range of suppliers, and which also makes the Samsung a global brand, and Samsung is having high brand value, which is not of any question. So moving ahead, the product line of product and services of Samsung. Basically we can classify or segment the product line into four major categories. First is DX, that is device experience. It includes the TVs, refrigerators, mobile phones, etc. Second is DS, that is device solution, which includes the memory, foundry, system LSI, ETCs. Third division is the SDC, which includes the display panel products. And fourth is the Harman division, which includes the sound system, connected car systems, etc. And within these four segments, Samsung produces more than 232 subsidiaries like Samsung Display, Samsung Semiconductor, etc. Moving ahead to the geographic market. So in this map we can see that there are the various headquarters, production centers, sales centers and R&D centers all around the world. Here we can see that Samsung is having production center in India as well, and ranging from USA to UK to Germany to Austria to Hungary to Korea. Samsung is having every the production centers and the sales centers everywhere. So moving to the next slide, let me talk about the future outlook of the Samsung Industries. So Samsung Industries knows that the semiconductor will be facing downturn in 2023, and it will be recovered in the second quarter. So and also Samsung is planning to have a strategic pivot towards the logic, yeah, foundry and the new growth areas. So third thing which enhances Samsung is the strong balance sheet and the cash flows, due to which Samsung can invest heavily in the R&Ds, and which allows it to innovate the products centrally and very frequently. And Samsung is also working on the foldable 5G smartphones, which I believe will be the future of the smartphones.
About the SWOT analysis for Samsung. Talking about their strengths, they have leading market positions in TV and smartphones. They have massive R&D budgets, and their global brand value and loyal customer base is also one of their strengths. Talking about their weaknesses, they have declining smartphone revenues for some times, and component shortage also limited their productions, and they are also having some issues with their government recently. Talking about opportunities, they can leverage their leadership in memory and displays. They can also expand their ecosystem to AI, cloud computing, and AR VR. And they can maybe use some mergers between semiconductor and software to strengthen their market positions. Moving to the threats for Samsung, they have intense competition from giant IT tech companies like Apple, LG, Sony, and their supply chain disruptions also limited their production and sales. Also, geopolitical tensions between Japan, China, and South Korea have affected their sales and revenues. So, looking into Porter's five factor analysis, threats to new entrants is quite low because the tech industry require more capital investment to enter a new firm. While looking into bargaining power bars, this is in moderate situation because large retailers like Amazon and Walmart have some bargaining power over Samsung due to their bulk purchases. Similarly, in bargaining power of suppliers is also in quite balancing situation because of in-house production capabilities of Samsung. While talking about threat of substitutes, as we know, smartphones and TV are in under threat to get replaced by desktop PCs and other video streaming devices. While finally talking about competitive rivalry, this is quite high because of large giant tech IT firms like Apple, LG, Sony are offering similar products in almost every category of Samsung. So as we know, Samsung has almost monopolistic dominance in display market because of high demand of their displays. Talking about their smartphone demands is also increased, and like in 5G smartphone market, demand for Samsung is drastically increased, and their premium 5G smartphones is also in high demand these days. Also, Samsung is getting decent revenues from tablet and PCs, in which they are relatively new. Shifting our focus to their financial performance, Samsung has been on a remarkable growth trajectory. Over the past 8 years, their revenue has grown with a compound annual growth rate of 8.6%. In 2022, Samsung's financial performance continued to impress. Their revenue grew by 8.1%, driven by solid sales in their semiconductor and display businesses. Operating profit increased by 16% thanks to higher revenue and improved manufacturing efficiency, while gross profit margins slightly declined due to higher input costs. Operating profit margins improved significantly. Their balance sheet remains robust with a low debt to equity ratio and substantial cash reserve, affording them financial flexibility for investments and economic uncertainties.
Demand analysis and supply analysis. Global demand for Samsung products is influenced by income demographics, consumer preferences, advertising, availability of substitutes, and complements. Samsung faces high income elasticity for premium products, but lower elasticity for mass market offerings. On the supply side, Samsung is expanding production of memory chips and smartphone displays to meet the demand while reducing LCD panel output. For smartphone, Samsung supplies all tiers but has cut output mildly amid weaker global demand. The firm can adjust supply across business and unit due to its scale and vertical integration. We'll see the demand analysis and supply analysis using the three subsidiaries of Samsung Electronics, that is semiconductor, smartphones, and displays. Now we will briefly discuss the demographics of growth of memory demand. So the lead so the technological advancements has fueled the memory demand, leading to mobile devices, server automation. In present time, there is a rapid growth in AI, ML, and big data analytics, which is also creating an extensive demand for memory-based ecosystem. Discussing the smartphone market demand. So, at first, the technological change has spiked the market and has created a whole lot of demand for smartphone. And then this technology matured, and now with innovation, the demand of smartphone is now slightly decreasing as we have new devices like AI, metaverse, and AR, VR, and all those technologies. Discussing the display market, we can see that the changing need has always created a spike in demand of the displays. Like at first we were IT driven, then mobile phone came, and which spiked the demand. And now all of the devices, like each car has to be its own ecosystem, having its own display and all. So it is spiking the demand of display in the market.
Now we will discuss the key elasticities in Samsung electronics. Firstly, income elasticity of demand. Samsung smartphones. They have high income elasticity. As income rises, demand will increase. Semiconductors and components. They have low income elasticity, which means demand remains stable with income changes. TVs. Moderate income elasticity. People will invest more with higher income. Now coming to the price elasticity of demand. Smartphones. Elastic demand, which means price changes significantly affect demand. Consumer electronics, price inelastic, as Demand remains consistent regardless of the price. High end displays. They are inelastic demand because price changes have little impact on demand. Understanding these elasticities is crucial for Samsung marketing and pricing strategies. Now we are going to explore the concept of diminishing marginal utility and how it applies to the Samsung electronics. Firstly, diminishing marginal utility occurs when consumers find less satisfaction with each additional purchase of the same product, like Samsung phones or monitors. Secondly, this happens because buying more of the same product doesn't fulfill additional needs. After the first purchase, satisfaction decreases. By the third purchase, utility approaches zero or becomes negative. So, consider an insurance company needing four monitors. Once they have these, the marginal utility becomes close to zero, and further monitors are unnecessary. So, diminishing marginal utility is essential to understand how satisfaction decreases with repetitive purchases. This concept applies to Samsung electronics and various consumer and business situations.
So coming to the cost analysis for the company, the large fixed cost comes from Samsung massive manufacturing and R&D platforms. Variable cost fluctuate with production volume and sales. Analyzing the components provide insights into operating leverage. The breakdown of expenses can be done as fixed cost and variable cost. Now coming on to the fixed cost, there comes wages and salaries, post-employment benefits, advertising expenses, depreciation, amortization of other intangibles. And some variable costs are there such as cost on sales, changes in finished goods, cost of raw materials, commissions, warranty expenses and many more. One other cost is there which is semi-variable cost, for example welfare expense, which can have both fixed and variable components. For instance, some benefits may be fixed while other are based on employee headcount or usage. Now this is the real data of Samsung expense at the end of year 2021 and 2022. In year 2021, it was 228 trillion Korean won and in year 2022 it was around 259 trillion Korean won. Here is the data of selling and administrative expenses, which includes all those expenses like wages and salaries, commission, service charges, transportation and so on. This data is of other non-operating income and expenses. Other non-operating income includes rental income, investment income, dividend income, and other non-operating expenses include losses on sale of assets, donations, foreign exchange losses, etc.
I will analyze Samsung's production cost, efficiencies, and economies of scale and scope based on 2022 financials. At first, analyzing Samsung's cost of structure, it is very high fixed cost for capex of around 43.8 trillion Korean won and for R&D of about 20.1 trillion Korean won, enabling economies of scale in semiconductor fabrication. Managing variable input cost is critical for margin protection. Samsung benefits from substantial economies of scale and scope, with massive investment in fabs and R&D allowing large scale of production to reduce per unit costs. Leveraging design and manufacturing expertise across businesses creates synergies. This reduces average cost through better fixed cost absorption and business unit synergies. Samsung Scale provides cost efficiencies like producing 20% plus of memory globally, spreads high fab cost over billions of chips, bulk purchase discounts on inputs like silicon wafers from huge volumes, optimize streamlined production from large output volumes. Samsung also leverages scope efficiencies through sharing supply chain infrastructures, fabs, components across businesses, leveraging semiconductor display expertise across end products, and also integrating innovations from central R&D across products. Samsung utilizes resources efficiently through first supply chain integration through vertical integration, strategic partnership to supplement capabilities, productivity programs across businesses. Analyzing 2022 financials confirm competitive advantage with revenue growing 15% driven by semiconductors displaying display market strength. High ongoing capex and R&D shows focus on scale and innovation. In conclusion, Samsung's financials validate that it maintains key advantages from economies of scale and scope and efficient resource utilization amid rising competition. This allows Samsung to balance scale, efficiency, and cost in its production.
I will now analyze the market equilibrium dynamics in Samsung's major product categories: semiconductors, smartphones, and displays. This will assess whether demand and supply are in balance or not. So, talking about in semiconductors and memory chips, the market is currently in state of oversupply and disequilibrium. Memory chip prices declined significantly in 2022, indicating supply growth has executed demand growth. Major capacity expansions by Samsung and competitors over past few years contributed to this chip oversupply. However, these cycles between undersupply and oversupply are common in semiconductors as suppliers adjust to shifting demand. Equilibrium should be restored over the next 1 and 2 years as suppliers cut back capital expenditures and slow capacity growth. This will rebalance supply and demand. In smartphones, the market appears to be in relative equilibrium. Samsung had stable unit sales and steady global market share in 2022, indicating balanced supply and demand conditions. There are no obvious signs of component shortages or gluts for Samsung and its competitors. Prices across capability tiers and models remains fairly stable year over year, signaling alignment between supply and buyer value perceptions. Now, turning to displays, in recent years, falling average selling prices and periods of oversupply indicated disequilibrium as production capacity exceeded demand. However, Samsung's display division has remained profitable, suggesting prices have been likely stabilized recently. Oversupply in older LCD panels is being offset by fast growth in new premium OLED and QD OLED panels where Samsung leads. This segment transition is rebalancing the market. End market demands for displacing devices like smartphones, TVs, and monitors remains outburst. With capacity expansion slowing, the supply demand balance is improving. Overall, the display market appears to be trending back towards balanced conditions between supply and demand. In conclusion, cyclical swings around market equilibrium are common across Samsung's core product segments. However, the company competitively positioned to manage through these demand supply dynamics. Now, highlighting the relative price stability, this indicates markets reaching equilibrium. Smartphone average selling prices only dropped 1.4% in 2021 amid slow demand, signaling strong pricing power. Memory chip ASP stabilized in 2021 after earlier declines. TV ASP had gradual erosions while memory chip prices fluctuated but remained balanced. The limited price declines across Samsung's core product segments indicate supply and demand are largely aligned. This price stability reflects markets that are at or nearing equilibrium conditions. So, in summary, the pricing trends confirm that the markets for semiconductors, smartphones, and displays have been operating close to balanced supply and demand equilibrium in recent years, despite some segment specific cyclicality. Now, I will analyze the market structure of Samsung Electronics across its major divisions and subsidiaries. This will assess whether the market it operates in resemble perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, or monopoly. First, looking at the device experience or the division, the mobile communications business that sells smartphones and tablets operates as a global oligopoly. Major rivals include Apple, Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo. Samsung had mobile revenue of 115 trillion Korean won in 2022 compared to Apple's iPhone revenue of $192 billion. The consumer electronics business selling TVs and appliances also faces an oligopoly competitive landscape with rivals like LG, Sony. The segment operating margin of 6.9% in 2022 indicates high competition. For the device solution or DS division, the memory business is an oligopoly dominated by Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. Memory revenue was 68 trillion Korean won in 2022 for Samsung. Contract chip manufacturing competes in an oligopoly against rival giant TSMC. Segment operating margin was 47% in 2022, exhibiting lower competition in memory. Looking at the display subsidiary Samsung Display Corporation, it had revenue of 34 trillion Korean won in 2022 and over 90% market share in OLED panels, making it a near monopoly. Subsidiaries like Samsung Display Vietnam provide scale and vertical integration. Finally, the Harman division competes in more specialized segments with a mix of oligopolistic and monopolistic competition through differentiated subsidiaries. In conclusion, the concentrated nature of the electronics industry presence of major rivals like LG, Apple, Sony, etc., Differentiated offerings and higher barriers to entry make oligopoly the best characterization of Samsung's core market structure, while display division operating as a near monopoly.
Okay, so let me conclude the presentation. In conclusion, we can say that Samsung operates globally with the price elastic and high income elasticity products, and the key competitors of Samsung are basically Apple, Dell, Nokia, Lenovo, Toshiba, and LG. And the thing that makes Samsung of strength in the market is that it is, first of all, it is its market share. Second, it's talent. Third, it's affordability, and I think affordability is the major reason. And fourth is the diverse business. And the economics of scale and scope provides cost advantage to the Samsung, and market equilibrium varies by the product category with the different demand elasticities. Now coming to the recommendation which can be given to Samsung is first invest in the semiconductor technology, and basically Samsung is planning also to invest in the semiconductor technology, and I believe that is a good step for Samsung. Second, they can develop partnership and sourcing arrangements, because some raw materials are not really available to Samsung in a very affordable manner. So if they can develop partnership with other companies, it would be easy for them to perform. Third is that focus on high-end smartphones. Basically, since Samsung earns its major revenue from smartphone industry, so Samsung should focus on the high-end smartphone industries, so that it can also beat or it can also compete Apple and other smartphone giants. Third is that manage memory supply wisely. Fourth, Samsung can increase its QD OLED supply production. And one more thing which comes to my mind is that it can leverage brand and technology for the pricing power, because like Samsung has kept its price very affordable, but it can take leverage of that and it can actually increase the price, and that I think Samsung should do. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for joining us today in the presentation. Here are the links and references from where we have taken various datas. Thank you.